copyright infringement thing. I really don't want any issues. So, I've given you guys a mouthful and I have not taken the time to just welcome everyone to the broadcast. So I'm going to start, as always, with those of you listening on the 107.7 FM frequency on your radio. Good afternoon to you guys. Hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day. Those of you listening on the 107.7 FM link, good afternoon to you. Thank you for joining us. And of course, those of you just signing in on the Facebook platform, welcome. Nice to have you. Good afternoon to you as well. Hope you are keeping warm, everyone, no matter where you are, because down here in the Caribbean, especially today in St. Lucia, it is raining. Yes, folks, it is raining cats and dogs here in St. Lucia. So ensure that you stay warm. If you are in the US, in Canada, in Europe, you know you got to deal with that cold weather. The winter is upon you. So please ensure that you take the necessary precautions. There is a really, really destructive flu going around, and I really would hate that any of my listeners are down with the flu and can't join me here on Hard Talk. But you know what? I am confident that if you do have the flu, if you're listening to my voice, I'm going to make you better, because laughter is therapy for the soul. And while this is a very serious broadcast, we do mix in a bit of humor every now and then to ensure that we keep the mood light, because guys, like the caller said yesterday, if you're listening, if you don't laugh, you're definitely gonna cry. So, guys, people are signing in already. Good day, good day. Oh, I forgot my listeners from the UK. If you're in the UK, I know that it is extremely cold out there. The winters in the UK are legendary, just like the winters in Canada. Good afternoon to you. Hope you're keeping warm and hope you are just taking care of yourself. If you do have the flu, liquids, rest, feed a fever, and starve a cold. Guys, let's get into the meat of the matter. So, a very unfortunate incident happened yesterday. And it highlights the way in which our healthcare system just sometimes does not get the job done. I read this story in the news today, and I really felt that we needed to dissect it a bit more. Now, it's a very unfortunate incident, and I want to read the actual publication to you, the actual story. Guys, it really touched my heart. It really did. Sorry. My earring fell off. Anyway, so of course, this story was posted in the St. Lucia Daily Post. And like I've said to you on this broadcast many, many times, I do like the way the St. Lucia Daily Post does their business. When it comes to reporting on stories, they often give you a comprehensive look at the issues, and very, very balanced, in my opinion. Getting some love there from the UK. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Cassius Raymond. How are you doing? Hope you are keeping warm in this weather. So guys, The St. Lucia Daily Post published this story. I think it was published. Yes, it was published this morning. And I want to read it to you. It is quite tragic. So it reads: a serious medical emergency turned tragic on Thursday when a 10-year-old student collapsed during a physical education PE class at a primary school and later died. The incident has sparked grief and serious concerns from her family about how the emergency was handled. The child has been identified as Amelia Isidore of Boisden Jacmel. According to the information shared by relatives, Amelia had a history of seizures. Based on the family's account, the child was not taken directly to hospital following her collapse. Relatives say she was instead taken to the Jacmel Health Center, where she did not receive the emergency medical intervention they believe was urgently needed at the time. They further claim that distress calls placed to emergency services for an ambulance resulted in an inordinate wait. Family members report that Amelia's condition deteriorated rapidly while at the facility. They have expressed concern that health aides were not adequately trained to administer cardiopulmonary resuscitation or CPR, leaving them distressed as the child's condition worsened. These concerns reflect the family's account and have not been independently verified. The family has further raised concerns that no teacher or school official accompanied the child during the medical emergency and has questioned whether a direct transfer to hospital might have resulted in a different outcome. Amelia later died. No official determination has yet been released regarding the precise medical cause of death. Authorities are expected to follow standard procedures in cases involving sudden deaths, and further information is anticipated. So there you have it, guys. A 10-year-old child who was at school at a physical education class, PE, as we call it. Her family confirms that she had a history of seizures. And I can tell you guys, a seizure is a scary, scary experience. I did a short stint as a mom, about 20 years now, not that long. And a seizure is scary business. And there are two things that I fear more than anything: fevers and seizures. I fear these. I've never had the occasion when my child has a seizure, but one of her friends did have one. And I was present at the time, and I was so lost. I didn't know what to do. Thankfully, there were two other friends of mine there who were well versed. So while one was administering resuscitative tactics, the other was calling the family. Within minutes, the grandmother arrived. And guys, you should have seen me. I was a total mess. You would have sworn that I was the one who had the seizure. I cried so much. The child wasn't crying, but I was crying. He was already revived. But I was a total mess. Yeah. So it is a scary experience if you've never dealt with it. But this little girl, 10 years old, she was taken to the Jacmel Health Center. Now, I don't blame the teachers because the child seems to be a student of that school, the Jack Mill School, Jack Mill Primary School. And the health center, if you know the area very well, the health center is not too far from the school. So one would think that upon seeing this child in distress and wanting to get help as soon as possible, the teachers must have thought, hey, this is the nearest medical facility and we're headed for help. So, I mean, I don't really blame them for taking her to that institution, especially if they are inexperienced, don't know what they're dealing with. I mean, having had the experience myself, I can tell you, guys, it is harrowing. It is mind-numbing if you've never dealt with it before. So I guess the rationale for taking her to that facility is that they need help. It's the nearest medical facility. It's right there across the street and a few minutes away. They're going for help. But the concern is that, and this is the family's concern and my concern as well, are the health aides at the health center adequately prepared or adequately trained to deal with these kinds of emergencies? Do they have CPR training? Are they well versed in how to handle seizures? Because I personally would not blame anyone for taking my child to a health center if my child falls ill and if that health center is in close proximity. I've done it myself. I was taking a shower one time. My daughter was little, maybe not older than this child. And she has this annoying way of telling you the worst news in an exaggeratedly calm voice. And I think she knows that her mom will panic. So she came into the bathroom and she said, "Mommy, I fell and a stone went into my leg." Guys, I'm sorry. If I had already used soap, then I don't think I rinsed off. If I hadn't used soap, well, the soap was left for another day because I jumped out of that bathroom and there it was, a piece of a concrete block lodged in my daughter's, in that little area just below her knee. I don't think I've ever gotten dressed as quickly as that. And I headed straight to the nearest health center. Thankfully, I live between two of them. And I said to myself, the bus, whatever direction the bus is going in, that is the health center that I am heading to. The health centers are our primary healthcare institutions. They are there to provide assessment, emergency assessment, and then if they cannot deal with the situation themselves, then of course you are referred to the hospital and so on and so forth. So I don't blame anyone for heading to a health center when they are faced with an emergency medical situation that they are unfamiliar with, they are not trained to deal with. But the question I have, and this is a relevant question, The the government Oh, wow. Somebody sending me a message. The person says, Good afternoon, Miss Angie. As you speak about Amelia Isidore, a tribute is being held by educators, education officials, and students of the Roseau combined by carrying the independence battle in her honor. This is heartbreaking. So it's the Roseau combined. Okay. I thought I recognized that uniform. But still, the Roseau Combined School is still not that far away from, well, I think that's the name of the school. I think it's the Roseau Combined School that is in Jackman. I think that is the name of the school. So yes, it is the school I was thinking of, and the health center is not that far away. But as our government pushes through with the Universal Healthcare Initiative, the UHC, how much bang are we really getting for our buck? Because it is tragic, extremely tragic, that it would take a situation like this, the loss of a little girl who was suffering from a medical emergency, that the nearest healthcare officials, because they are health aides, were simply not trained to deal with. They were in over their heads. And it begs the question, before the government embarked on this UHC initiative, has there been an assessment of the skill sets of the individuals retained as community health aides? Because while there are nurses at the health centers, it just may be that the clinic is done and the nurse has gone on a home visit and the person left at the facility is a health aide. Now, I know there are family. Why am I forgetting this? I worked at a health center for a short amount of time, well, several health centers for a short amount of time with the Ministry of Health. I think it was the family med. I'll think about it. So there are nurses. I'm forgetting the official title, but there are senior nurses sometimes stationed at the health centers. But I think they are at. There's always a. How do I describe it? Guys, I'm forgetting these medical terms as I speak with you, but I think I can describe it. I think I can describe what I want, what I'm trying to say, in a way that you guys can understand. So there's always the not chief, but the main. Let's use that term. The main health center is the bigger one. That is where the family nurse practitioner, I remember the name, where the family nurse practitioner is stationed, and she is a senior nurse who has been trained to prescribe certain medications. And there is sometimes a midwife present, especially when there is a prenatal clinic. And then there are the other little health centers, in the region. So that would be like the headquarters. So, for example, let me tell you an area I knew very well. In the Mikud area in Region 5, the quote unquote headquarters of that region is at the Mikud Health Center. And then you have the other health centers in that region. You have Tiroche, Deriso, and so on and so forth. So this is how the regions are set up. It might have changed because I left the Ministry of Health all the way back in 2009. So things evolve and change all the time, but I think the structure is pretty much the same. I'm going to guess that the structure is pretty much the same. So not every health center, and the way things work is that you go to the clinic in the morning and certain individuals come in to see you, but there are people. And somebody's asking, Jackmel is a community in the valley. No, it's not. Jackmel is not in the valley. It is in the Roseau area, between Mondo and Roseau. Actually, it's a little road going in. It's in that area there. It is part of the Ancillary Canneries community, constituency, actually. So, as I was saying, I'm unless you were referring to the Roseau Valley, but yeah, it is part of the Ancillary Canneries constituency. So, as I was saying, the health centers have those clinics, different clinics on different days. You're going to have a medical clinic on a certain day, antenatal clinic, prenatal clinic. You have diabetic clinic, hypertensive clinic. They normally do these two in tandem. And for every clinic, there are specialized personnel to deal with these issues, because that is a time when persons with these issues come in. And in the afternoon, after the clinic is done, the doctor sees whoever they have to see. You have the community health aides and the nurses stationed at that particular facility going out to visit, to do home visits, because there are always sick and shut-in people, that these individuals, they go house to house, and sometimes the person left at the health center to deal with whatever emergency that comes is a community health aide. Now, while this situation is completely tragic, and I am not, don't get me wrong, guys, I am not blaming anyone for what happened. I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not blaming the teachers for taking this child to the health center, because it is a health center. It is a primary healthcare facility. And so they would have thought that they were taking this child for help at the nearest place where they can get help. The community health aides at the center would have done whatever they were trained to do. And if whatever they tried didn't work, they would call an ambulance. Now, it does say in a report that when the ambulance was called, the family feels that the ambulance took quite some time to come to get to the health center. And all that time, this little girl's condition was deteriorating. So while it is very tragic that something like this could shine a light or shine a focus on a situation, it does warrant further examination. And what I mean by that is, what are the skill sets of our community health aid personnel? What exactly are they trained to do? Are they only being trained to deal with wounds? Are they only being trained to deal with minor emergencies? Are they trained in CPR for emergencies such as what just happened? And I'm not trained in CPR, but I would think that the CPR administered to a child and what is administered to an adult is different. Has there been a skill set examination or assessment of the individuals employed at our primary healthcare facilities? Because here's the thing, guys. The primary healthcare, it's not a coincidence that you cannot go 5 miles in any direction in St. Lucia without finding a health center. That is strategic, that is deliberate, because there are incidents or medical emergencies that, while they might require expert care, they're not life-threatening. They're not serious. They're not so serious that you require admittance into a hospital. The primary healthcare facilities are there to weed out the minor emergencies and escalate the more serious ones. That way, they take the burden off, or this is supposed to be the way they function, to take the burden off the hospitals, so that we don't end up with the situation that we are currently facing at our secondary healthcare facilities. And when I say secondary healthcare facilities, I mean the OKEU European Hospital, the polyclinics, and Tapio Hospital, Soufre Hospital, Denry Hospital, and so on and so forth. Now, of course, this helps to relieve the strain on our healthcare professionals and also to allow individuals to get medical treatment in a timely manner. But I am willing to bet that there has not been a skill set analysis of the individuals employed as community health aides in quite some time. I'm also willing to bet, and again, don't get me wrong, I am not knocking the work done by our community health aides. But I have said here several times that I was employed as a nutrition officer because I am a nutritionist by profession, although I don't practice anymore, I am a trained nutritionist, and I know a bit. I have worked in the primary healthcare system, which is in the health centers. I used to be for a very short time, the field nutrition officer for regions 3 and 4, and that is the area from Richford to Deriso. So I have a bit of knowledge. It's been quite some time, but I do have a bit of knowledge. Again, the things I say here, because of the length of time that I have not been in the service, and because of the fact that healthcare and nutrition is dynamic. New things are learned all the time, new techniques are taught. It's been quite some time since I've actually worked in the field, and maybe I might be remembering things differently because, of course, new initiatives might have been implemented. But the basic knowledge remains the same. I am willing to bet that our primary healthcare institutions need a serious skill set makeover. Because I think that health aides, or I believe that health aides are trained based on the situation that the country is facing, the most serious situation that the country is facing. Now, those of you who, like me, were born in the decades leading up to the 2000s, you don't know what I mean? I have to tell you my business? Okay, fine. I was born in the 80s. And back then, one of the more serious issues that St. Lucia and a lot of the countries in the region were facing was malnutrition. And that stemmed, that stemmed from just the way we ate. And so I don't know if you guys would remember the Clim and Sugar era, where health centers were handing out Clim, which is a type of powdered milk, and sugar to underprivileged families. And sometimes they would hand those out to kids in the schools to take home to their mom. And a lot of children used to mix the two and turn it into a very sweet and borderline unhealthy snack. Come on, you guys remember those times? Found it. Lost an airing a little while ago. So you guys remember that time. Then there was the time when we were dealing with the bilharzia situation. And so the community health aides were trained to deal with this situation. And you would recall that bilharzia is a waterborne disease which stemmed from poor sanitation. People used to defecate in the rivers, and that caused quite a huge epidemic in St. Lucia back then in the early 80s, late 70s, early 80s, around that time. So the community health aides really are trained to deal with whatever situation that we are whatever situation that is foremost on our minds. And back when we had you guys would remember the chikungunya era and the Zika era and dengue fever, and those community health aides were trained to go out and check the drums and, tell people how to administer whatever they were using at the time. So it's like whenever there is a need, they are trained to deal with these situations. But maybe, just maybe, it's time we train them to deal with things like allergic reactions, to deal with CPR, I know for a fact that if someone is having a heart attack or a stroke, they can recognize the signs. And I don't know what else that they can do. But isn't it time that we institute a program? Because the world is changing. And we need to change with it. And in order to alleviate the stress that we see happening at the OKEU European Hospital, maybe it's time we equip our community health aides at our primary health care centers with the skills to deal with certain emergency situations. Because what I say next might not sound nice. It might not sound politically correct. But I really don't believe that if Amelia had been rushed to the OKEU hospital, that the result would have been much different. And I say this because the OKEU hospital is inundated with its own problems. This is a very sad situation, trust me. As a mom, I feel whenever I hear a child dies, it strangles my heart. But the reality of the situation is OKEU is struggling. And I think it's about time the Ministry of Health stops concentrating on diseases when they become overwhelming and equip those community health aides with the skill set to deal with whatever may come their way. And I'm calling on the CMO, Mrs. Sharon Belmar George, to take a serious look at the skill sets of the individuals manning our primary healthcare system. Because as I said, if the primary healthcare institutions, and by that I'm referring to the health centers and the polyclinics that dot the island, if they are to live up to their full potential and to function as they were designed to, the individuals who work there need to be able to deal with certain emergencies. They need to be able to provide CPR. They need to know what to do when a seizure happens. They need to know how to deal with allergic reactions, because allergic reactions may not require if somebody's having an allergic reaction, it's highly unlikely, if it's a severe allergic reaction, it's highly unlikely that you would have the time to rush this person to the hospital. You have to have things like EpiPens and Claritin and Xanax, and what you need to have antihistamine on hand. You need to have all of these things on hand, epinephrine and all of that. These individuals need to know how to recognize these emergencies and deal with them. They need to be trained to handle these situations. Because I can tell you, when you are faced with an emergency situation that you are unfamiliar with, if it's something that you know how to handle, it's highly unlikely that you're going to panic but they need to be able to stabilize a situation so that a patient can make it to the hospital where they can get the secondary health care that they need. So, please, healthcare personnel, health minister, prime minister, whoever is listening, isn't it appropriate to ensure that our primary healthcare facilities are extremely efficient? Because here's the thing, this can ease the squeeze on the secondary healthcare operations. Somebody saying, Angie, not even some of the EMTs have that skill set. Shaking my head. Wow. That is sad though. But it is warranted, guys. Because let's look at the situation. Let's be realistic and let's look at the situation that we are currently faced with. I was having a conversation with someone who works at OKEU, and I was questioning them on the way that things, I was saying, well, I'm hearing these stories and can you weigh in and whatever. And the person was saying, listen, we are doing the best we can. We are doing the best we can with what we have. And I guess that's all you can. I guess that's all you can do when you are faced with a situation like what is happening at OKEU. They are overwhelmed, and it is not easy to deal with these situations. And I'm being told that individuals sometimes are being, treated based on how severe their illness seems to be. But then what else can you expect if you have a lack of resources? You try to put them to use in a way that the person who needs it more will be the one getting it. Okay, so somebody is sending me a message here on the WhatsApp platform. Let me just read this quickly to you guys. It says, "Hi Angie, good evening. I'm on time for the program. Greetings from Wales. Talking about healthcare. I am working in the healthcare sector professionally in the UK. Not all healthcare workers can prescribe medication. Prescribing authority is legally restricted to specific qualified professionals regulated by national or state bodies, and they must operate within their competence and scope of practice. So as a nurse, we administer medication to patients after it is prescribed by our GP, which I understand completely. As I said, there are certain senior nurses who have the capabilities and are allowed to prescribe medication. But I'm not talking about prescribing medication here. What I am talking about is emergency procedures, CPR, knowing what to do when somebody has a allergic reaction, knowing how to recognize and deal or stabilize a patient when they have a seizure, unfortunately, as what happened in that situation. This is what I am talking about. I'm not referring to having these community health aides writing prescriptions. No, I'm not crazy. Come on. But they should be trained adequately on how to handle emergency situations. Because you cannot tell me that stabilizing a patient while they wait for an ambulance is not a good idea. Wounds are easy to deal with. There's a hole, you plug it. A snake bite is easy to deal with. You tie off the affected area above the wound so that the venom doesn't get the chance to make its way into the internal organs and possibly leaks out right back out of the wound. There are emergency procedures that can help save a life. For example, administering aspirin for someone who's having a heart attack. These things are handy to know. You know, administering mouth-to-mouth resuscitation on somebody who's fainted or somebody who you believe might be drowning. These things are handy to know. You stabilize the patient until help arrives. I'm not saying give these people prescription pads and have them prescribing medication all willy-nilly. No, that's not what I'm saying. But you don't need a prescription to recognize somebody whose airways are closing and they need a shot from an EpiPen. These are emergency procedures that can save a life. And these are community health aides. These people are out in the community. They need this type of skill set. And if our EMTs don't have that skill set, crap or smoke our pipe, what exactly are we doing? Again, I don't know what the procedure is to deal with a seizure. The one seizure that I witnessed, I was completely lost. I didn't know what to do. But then again, you're talking about somebody who got yelled at while she was a healthcare worker because she was shaking more than the patient. I was asked by an unfortunate nurse. Unfortunately, the nurse asked me to hold a patient's hand. The person was severely wounded so that she can stitch it. And I was screaming my head off, and the patient was calming me down. I can't deal with these things. But there are people who can. Isn't it time that we make our primary healthcare facilities more efficient, more capable, more adaptable, so as to ease the strain on our already overtaxed secondary healthcare facilities? Isn't this a topic worth discussing? Isn't this a better use for the country's money than, for example, painting the Bum Bum Wall for Carnival? I'm just saying. Because these issues happen. And sometimes, unfortunately, there is a bad day. Again, I am not diminishing this child's tragic demise to a bad day. But we need to put measures in place to ensure that this never happens to another child ever again. We need to ensure that this situation never repeats itself. And in order for us to do that, we have to ensure that the individuals at our primary healthcare facilities are capable and better trained. The individuals at our primary healthcare facilities, when it comes to caring for patients, those that I had the pleasure of working with, you will never find a more caring, kind, attentive set of people. Of course, every area has their bad batch. But overall, these are individuals who are dedicated to serving their community. Empower them. Because we need the help. It's not like we don't need the help, guys. It's not like we do not need the help. These primary healthcare facilities serve a very important purpose, which is why there was such a huge hue and cry from the public when those health centers started being closed down all over the island. They are there for a reason. They have a purpose, a very important purpose. And that purpose is to ensure that the doctors and nurses at OKEU European Hospital, or not just OKEU, I'm talking about OKEU because it's the biggest hospital that we have. But let me say this thing properly. The primary healthcare facilities, which are the health centers, they are there to ensure that the staff at the accident and emergency, specifically the accident and emergency department of every hospital, are not overwhelmed with minor injuries that don't require so much medical expertise to deal with. For example, cuts and bruises, cleaning or dressing of wounds, taking somebody's blood pressure, taking somebody's blood sugar, dealing with persons who faint, those stabilizing patients before they're sent to the secondary facility. Severe allergic reactions, that sort of thing. And in some cases, as we saw yesterday, these little things can turn tragic. So I think it is warranted that the persons entrusted with manning these primary healthcare facilities are well versed in emergency procedures. They should know how to administer CPR. We have a caller here on the line. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Angie.
Good afternoon. How are
and
you?
listeners. I am well, Angie. I'm listening to you very carefully.
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell you what you are saying is very good about the healthcare and all these things.
Mm-hmm.
But we must never forget. Example, the man who had the problem of the snake bite.
Right.
The accident when you have a punctured lungs.
Right.
All these things, a stroke.
All of these things.
Angie, the time is very important to the hospital.
Exactly.
That's why the hospital Alan Chasney was building with the helicopter, the helico, would be very important because, you know, on our roads, it's always with jump packed with
right, traffic and all of those kinds of things.
Well, yes. So that's very important. Everything must be organized. You could have a good hospital, good nurses waiting, but the time to get help is very important, Angie. Even the when you have accident, you have the what is the bus, the
ambulance?
Ambulance, voila. It should be equipped so that going on the way to the hospital, they could get first aid.
Exactly.
You understand? Don't just take the people and just put them in that on the way. No.
And rush, yes.
Yes. All that is very organized. And as you see, there are so many things to be done in St. Lucia. Angie, I don't know, we are backward on that health. We are very, very backward. They have lives that could be saved. Because of, as you said, the timing, sometimes the person is in a rural area where cars cannot, the helico cannot, you wait for the helico, you know, it's easy to go down. That's how I see it here.
Yeah.
That's how I see it here. So St. Lucia has a lot to be done to help and put up to date our hospital. Everything is intact. Good hospital, good, you know what I mean? Sometimes I forget my English, but you help me. Everything
je vous en prie, madame, je vous en prie. Je t'aime vous aider.
You cannot say you have good hospital and then the people will take 10 years to reach the hospital. They will have time die on the street.
Exactly.
So all have to be organized, my friend. That's what I have to say.
Thank you so much.
St. Lucia need to be, a lot should be done. A lot have to be done in St. Lucia. We are not there as yet. Yes, we helping a little something, but we are lacking a lot with our healthcare. Thank you very much, Angie. I'm listening to you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you,
Yeah.
Ali.
And this is exactly, guys, what I was trying to say. Because you don't have to be a doctor to know how to treat a boon. You don't have to be a doctor or nurse to administer CPR, first aid. These primary healthcare facilities, they are the catchment area. And with the situation on our roads, like the caller made a very important point. Getting to the hospital will take you some time. We're getting a message here. Somebody's saying all healthcare assistance workers have to undergo all necessary training to handle emergencies, including CPR, moving and handling, choking, seizures, fire evacuation, heart attacks, and the list goes on. Angie, you're a classic example in society. Bravo to you. This is a very great subject. That is why Shas was giving SLU the best in healthcare, but they rejected it, shaking my head. And I was about to come to that. But we'll go back to this. That's a very good point. Thank you for that. We are in a situation in St. Lucia where there is a severe lack of resources. Somebody says, can our second segment be on Uber Taxi? Oh, I think, didn't we talk about Uber Taxi already? We talk about the Uber Taxi, but this is more important, guys. Our current situation is such that, one, we cannot get away from it, guys. Our healthcare system is underfunded. It is underfunded. It doesn't matter how you look at it, it is underfunded. Secondly, it is inefficient. It is inefficient because, one, and for the reasons that I have mentioned before, a lot of people in the communities don't trust the primary healthcare centers. They don't trust that they will get the help that they need there. Secondly, we have a situation where our main healthcare facility is overwhelmed and resources are scarce. We also have a situation where our road network is not the best. St. Lucia might only be 238 square miles. But with the traffic, with the way our road networks are, getting to the secondary healthcare facility might very well be an exercise in futility. And medical emergencies, they don't tell you when they strike, and they don't wait for any man. They definitely don't wait on traffic. Judging, let me have you visualize this. Let me paint a picture in your mind. Picture the Castries Grocery Highway. Someone who is, say, at say a person who is who needs to be rushed to the Grosley Polyclinic. Maybe that person works at Sanders Halcyon. Just as an example, the way this road is structured with that median barrier in the middle, say you have gridlock traffic, 2 lanes of gridlock traffic, and that ambulance is trying to get to the Grosley Polyclinic. The individual inside is having a severe allergic reaction. Are you confident that this person will make it to that facility without what they call in the war field medical assessment or field medical intervention? I'm not. That little girl was waiting on an ambulance, according to the story, for an inordinate amount of time. And by the time she got to the hospital or to wherever, it was too late. We have these primary healthcare facilities there already. There are persons with a certain level of medical training already there. These persons are experienced in dealing with medical situations. Why not? If it is, just hear me out, guys, and the phone lines are open. If you believe that I am speaking absolute rubbish, you have the Facebook platform, there's a WhatsApp platform, there's the phone lines, both the landline and the WhatsApp line. Go ahead and call and set me straight. These health centers are there in every community. They're spread out all over the island. Okay? You can't go 5 miles in any direction without finding a health center in St. Lucia. And that is not a coincidence. That was planned. These moving parts are already in place. And I told you why these health centers were arranged in that way. We have a situation where our secondary healthcare facilities are overwhelmed, underfunded. These individuals can hold their own in the medical field. Some of them have decades of experience. Why not use them to deal with emergency situations? I am confident that if the community health aides at the health centers are equipped with the ability to handle first aid and emergency situations, they might not be able to do everything that is necessary. They might not be able to have to provide surgeries. They might not be able to do a lung transplant or a bypass surgery or prescribe medication. But if they can stabilize somebody and ensure that that person makes it to the secondary healthcare facility, that person has a chance. We have a message here on the WhatsApp platform. Somebody says, Angie, good day. You are making so much sense. Just listening to the Prime Minister, the way he itemized how he's planning to raise taxes. 1, he talked about spending on hospital. 2, he talks about the airport. 3, he spoke about roads and the loss of revenue. And then he will add all of it together and put the maximum on the people. Well, then somebody else says, Angie, you are speaking absolute truth. My 8-year-old asked me, why is there no nurse at his school? And that's another thing, guys. That is another thing. Why are there no nurses at our schools? We have a caller on the line. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Good afternoon, Angie. How are you?
I am good. How are you?
I'm good, Angie. I'm alive, thank God. You know, we have to be thankful that we're here still.
Yep.
Hearing that there's another, I'm not even going to state. That's not why I called. But hearing that there's another COVID sister or brother to COVID on the rise at some places in the world. Another one of their
the family.
Yeah, pandemics. And I mean, hey, we have to say it as it is, eh? And I'm seeing another bat infested virus or whatever. Anyway, you know what? That one's just gonna die out. It's gonna die out. Nonsense. Angie, has the Prime Minister explained to St. Lucians how much money we're losing on the port in terms of the taxes that we were collecting on Port Castries and Port Soufrière, in terms of the amount of money we collected per head when it came to cruise ship passengers? Has he explained that?
No. And I want to be there when he does. But no, he has not.
Has he explained has he said to us who the directors and shareholders of the GPH private company is? Has he said anything to us?
Nope.
The makeup of this company?
Nope.
All we know is GPH is taking $10 or $11 of our monies, and we're getting $1 per head for cruise ship passenger when we used to get $6.50. That is $5.50 less than what we were making. So what is the Prime Minister doing in terms? We were not paying that tax, were we? Those taxes were being collected and going in the government coffers.
Yep.
So now we $5.50 less per head per cruise ship passenger. Make it make sense. Let's say we have 1 million cruise ship passengers per year. Let's just say. Let's just say. Okay. Let's not go 1 million. Let's go 500,000 cruise ship passengers for the year. How much money have we lost in revenue? How much money have we lost in revenue for a year? And let's calculate that by 30 years. How much money are we losing per cruise ship passenger? And what is GPH doing that warrants them getting $10 per head? Or $11 per head per cruise ship passenger? What are they doing? Is it a job that we solutions that our own contractors could not have done? We built Point Seraphin, for crying out loudly.
Yeah.
We built Point Seraphin without giving our ports away for 30 to 40 years and just collecting $1 per head per cruise ship. We built Point Seraphin to actually collect more money per head per cruise ship passenger. That's why we built Point Seraphin. Isn't that so, Angie?
Yep.
So when you come and you move St. Lucia in a reverse, backwards, and you put us back in the Stone Age, and you come back and tell us about taxes, and you're not innovative as a leader to say, okay, we're making monies another way that makes sense, apart from just wanting to tax the public. The public does not have the money to pay taxes. You're running a country like St. Lucia with 180,000 people, half of which or three-quarters of which are not employed. Some are students and some are unemployed. Am I correct in saying that?
I guess so.
You want to tax them to run a country? You want to tax St. Lucians to run a country when you have forfeited $5.50. I could have said that he forfeited $10. Do you understand? Because we could have increased the price per head per cruise ship passenger
and keep our $12.50
and keep our money and do the niceties to the pot, because it's a facelift the pot is getting. A facelift. The pot is not being rebuilt in any way, shape, or form. It is getting, aesthetics are being done to our pot. Something that we could have handled on our own. So in essence, we are actually losing $12. How much? $11.50, $12.50?
It's $12.50 now, as opposed to $6.50 before.
So we are losing. Let's minus the $1.50 or $2 for whatever they say.
We're losing $10. $10.
We are losing $10. $10 per head per cruise ship passenger. Does that make mathematical sense? We're losing that money per head for 30 years to get aesthetics done to our port, to get a facelift done to Port Castries. And we're losing the SUFRE money as well that was going to the SUFRE Foundation. Are you all hearing me, St. Lucians?
And it's not just that. But look at all of the problems that we are faced with. For example, the topic of the day, this little girl being brought... Healthcare. Being brought to the health center because she was in distress, hoping that there was help to be found. And all they were doing was waiting for an ambulance, and the child didn't make it.
Let's go again.
That money could have been used to train our community health aides in first aid, in CPR, in dealing with some of these emergency situations, in stabilizing patients, so that these patients actually make it to the secondary healthcare facilities where they can be treated and cured. But that money is just leaking out of the country.
Okay, now first and foremost, we do not even have secondary healthcare facilities. We do not even have the number of imagine, in 2020, in 2019, in 2018, in 2016, St. Lucia had more health centers than St. Lucia has in 2026. Make that make sense. Make that make sense.
I am not.
If we are developing, shouldn't we have more health centers than we had in 2016? And in 2021?
That is what it should have been. But remember the Prime Minister say it's not about shoulda, coulda, woulda. You remember he said that?
I don't care what the Prime Minister says anymore. That's not my business what he says. I am advocating for the people of St. Lucia.
Yeah.
For the St. Lucian population, that's what I advocate for. I am not even bothered about what the Prime Minister says. Whatever comes out of the Prime Minister's mouth, I dare not say what I think of it on air. I dare not say.
I think I have a pretty good idea.
You have taken St. Lucia backwards. You are lost as in the government of the day is lost as to how to develop this country. The government of the day is lost as to how to even open a St. Jude's hospital that they told us they had a grand handover ceremony of since last year. The government of the day does not know that OKEU does not have sufficient doctors, nurses, and equipment, beds, etc., medical equipment, to take care of the people that are admitted into the hospital. Rather, they talk about adding a fifth finger. So what you have is not adequate in terms of the operations. However, you're going to put more block and mortar down and think that solves the operation problems.
Well, I guess he's thinking there'll be more space for more beds, but he's not thinking who's manning those beds.
More beds, and we don't have more nurses and more doctors and medical equipment, etc. Shouldn't we have the medical equipment, more doctors, more nurses, beds right now, adequate beds right now? Yeah? Shouldn't we have these things, medication, cause, scalpel, whatever we need for operating on patients, etc., the thread that they saw people with? They want me to start? Should we have these things first before we go and build another fifth? So we have money to build a fifth finger, but we don't have money to adequately put medical, how you call it? Jesus, I'm losing. Equipment. Thank you. We don't have the money to equip our hospitals. We don't have the money to open a hospital in the south of the country. A hospital that you went back to and said that it would have been ready in a year. Y'all said it. It just needed paint and Clorox.
And a good pressure wash.
That's what it needed. That's all it needed. And in a year, we would have had a St. Jude's hospital. 6 years later. 6 years later. $400 million later.
Technically, 5 years. Technically. Is it 5 years already? I think it's 4 years and 6 months, I think.
You know what? I don't even give a toss if it's 4 years or 3 years or 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all had money for a campaign in an election that was so huge that you could see. You could see the monies falling off those billboards and all the rest of it. You could see the dollar signs attached to all of these things. Shirts, hats, this, that, whatever.
Oh, let me tell you, today I saw a lot of dollar signs. Do you know the amount of people that are walking around with Vote SLP umbrellas? Were they just giving these things out by the side of the road? I mean, wow.
All this paraphernalia, all of this costs money. Where did that money come from? And then let's go back. Let's go back to how we could have funded our hospitals for them to be working adequately in St. Lucia. For us to have more hospitals, more medical facilities in terms of the health centers, etc., open all around the country in the smaller communities. Where is the supposed $6 billion from our passport sales? Where is it? Where is it? You know how much it could have done for St. Lucians? Where is the money, according to, what's his name? Where is the money?
Where are the funds?
Where are the funds? Where are the funds? And then today you're working back to front. You're going back in time, reversing the things that have been working in St. Lucia, and today you come in to us about taxes? Yo, Philip, wake up. Some of us are not asleep. Some of us are wide awake in this country. We are seeing and we need to speak out. We need to come out and advocate for our people in St. Lucia. We cannot sit there, roll up, and hide from the truth. The truth is the government of the day is taking St. Lucia backward. Has taken St. Lucia backward. We see it in terms of health centers, hospitals, airport, road infrastructure, no new jobs. We see it.
Yeah.
You.
We do see it.
Every day.
And sometimes when these people speak, like the foolishness that was being... This man comes to a pre-cabinet press briefing, which is a forum where the cabinet ministers are supposed to update the people on the inner workings of the government, to tell people about rainwater harvesting. Who in St. Lucia doesn't know about rainwater harvesting? Who in St. Lucia does not participate in rainwater harvesting?
I need to ask him, where is the tax that they took, the levy that every household and business place in St. Lucia has paid to WASCO from 1900 to 2026? Where is that money in terms? What was that money supposed to use for? Wasn't it for desilting the John Compton Dam, the same dam he dammed a few years ago? Was that money supposed to be used for doing that? Where is the money that was supposed to have been used to desilt the dam? Why did the last administration start to desilt the dam, and why did they come in and stop? Why didn't they continue the work? Didn't we pay for it to be done? Didn't every household, every person, when they pay their bill, pay that levy for it to be done? And they were the ones who put on the levy. Kerry Anthony put on that levy on St. Lucia's. It was a high levy too.
I think it's 10% of the bill, right? Am I right?
Angie, it is more than 10% of the bill. You need to check your business.
Oh, I think I forgot to carry the one VAT and the 2.5% health and security levy.
Yeah, what happened to the 2.5 health and security levy to take care of the health system in the country?
The Prime Minister said...
Where is the money?
Hold on, this one I can answer. So the Prime Minister said on Monday that persons were complaining about the health and security levy, but it has not even raised enough money to pay the salaries of the police officers. But then he came back later on in that same paragraph to say that, you know, they're going to have surpluses in everything. Does he understand what a surplus is?
Listen.
Or maybe I'm not. Or maybe I'm the one that's not understanding what the word surplus means. Because sometimes when I listen to the Prime Minister, I want to go and look at my Webster's dictionary to see if the meanings of the words have changed.
Listen and listen to me carefully, Angie.
Mm-hmm.
Listen and listen to me carefully. And I say carefully, Angie.
I'm listening.
The Prime Minister will make all his statements. The Prime Minister will make all his statements. Everything. As per where the taxes, where taxes are going, etc., or how much tax, or we don't know, whatever. But the Prime Minister is not saying that a few years ago, every year he was coming out and saying, we made 17 million in excess. We collected 17 million in excess.
Yeah, but that's the thing. They kept telling us all the time that there was a surplus. He's still saying that he's getting a surplus. So if you have a surplus, why are you complaining that people are not paying taxes?
Precisely.
Because a surplus means that you have extra money. And if you have extra money, at least that's what it's supposed to mean.
You have all your bills and even make profit.
And you have savings. So you don't need me to pay extra money taxes should be going down. And it's not just about taxes. We keep talking about taxes, but here's the thing, guys. Here's something that we are overlooking. Even if if the VAT was 20%, just hear me out before you jump on me. If the VAT was 20%, but for that 20%, you had free healthcare, you had free education, you had before a pothole appear, it would disappear. You know, you wanted for nothing. You had all the amenities that you needed. Would you mind paying 20% VAT? I wouldn't.
Listen,
because it's value for money.
I would mind. Let me tell you why I would mind. Let me tell you why I would mind. Because we were paying a 15% VAT in St. Lucia. The UWP administration came in and took out 2.5% VAT on us. So we ended up paying 12.5%. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, you're correct.
Right. In that time when they collected 12.5% VAT, they collected more money annually than when VAT was at 15%. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah, you're correct.
Okay, because people had more spending power. So that 2.5 gave them that zeal to go out. That 2.5 savings gave them a zeal to go out and spend more money and buy things and buy groceries and buy gifts and whatever. So they ended up spending more money, and more VAT was collected in that period of time. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. One minister came out and said, "Oh, we lost millions of dollars because which did not make sense, because when the VAT was at 15%, they collected less money than when the VAT was at 12.5%. At 12.5%, we saw our roads being fixed. Tourism was booming. We had things happening as in, how you call it? We had, besides carnival and just jazz and this, we had a series of events taking place in St. Lucia almost on a monthly basis. So we had tourism coming in every month. There was, even if they said it was slow period, we still had tourists coming to St. Lucia. Am I correct in saying this?
Yes, you are.
Thank you very much. On a 12.5% VAT, wasn't OKE working out properly?
It was functioning.
It was functioning. It was functioning much better than it is functioning now. And we were not paying a 2.5 levy, a compounded tax, that when you finish paying 2.5 here and 2.5 there and 2.5 over there, because people don't seem to understand, you literally pay almost 10% more. Am I correct in saying that?
And the other thing that you're missing is that the levy is calculated on the price of the good plus the VAT. So they're actually taxing the tax.
That's correct. So we are paying much more than when we were paying 15% VAT.
Yeah.
We are now paying about 22%.
Yeah.
Who like it, who don't like it, tough. When we add it up, we are literally paying about 20 to 22% tax in St. Lucia with that 2.5 levy, because that 2.5 levy is on goods and services.
And on the VAT.
Everything that comes into this country has services attached to it, such as transportation, customs brokerage, insurance, etc. You have storage. You have all kinds of stuff. So that 2.5 knocks everywhere you can turn around after the VAT is added on to this. And when it reaches the store, another 2.5 is added onto it again. So
Yeah.
we end up paying about 3 or 4 2.5s
On the same item.
on the same item. St. Lucia's, open your eyes. Understand what this government has done to you. Open your eyes. Understand what is really going on. But this same Philip JPI will come and tell us, after he's put a 2.5 compounded tax that is over and over and over, you get charged this 2.5%. After he has done it to us, and our taxes have risen by God knows what, by 10, maybe 10% more than the 12.5%, maybe even more. This man is coming and looking at us and complaining to us about what? The government not collecting enough taxes? Who asked y'all to sell our pot castries and soufre for 30 years and collect $1 and lose $5.50 per head? Who asked y'all to do it?
Well, it definitely wasn't me. Anyway, thank you so much for that contribution, caller. You've given us. I hope they were listening. I hope they were listening.
They better be listening, because we need. I'm not advocating for no party. I'm advocating for St. Lucia.
Yeah.
And St. Lucians.
I really hope that they were listening.
Philip, stop taking us backwards and stop giving us potato seeds to grow sweet potatoes in Choiseul.
On that note,
we do not need your potato seeds in Choiseul. We have potato vines. Thank you very much, Angie.
You're welcome. You're listening to Hard Talk here on Fire 107.7 FM. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we're going to be right back with more Hard Talk. And we're going to get into some of the comments that are coming in from the WhatsApp and Facebook platforms. So stick with us. Don't touch that dial. We will be right back as we discuss the issues that matter.
You already know the power of Licks products on your clothes and household. You Licks your whites and colored clothes, leaving them fresh and scented. You Licks your dishes and left your hands protected with vitamin E. You Licks your floors, even Licks your toilets. Now we expand and bring you 3 new scents in our fabric softener: Balmy Sunshine, Summer Sunshine, and Thousand Flowers. And rinse those stains off of colored clothes with Licks Peroxide Bleach. Licks whites even further with Body Care Body Soap Bars in deodorant and antibacterial. So Licks tiredness and bacteria out and refresh your tired body. Your products give you Licks, then choose Licks from the distribution. Available at all leading supermarkets.
Good afternoon to you guys. Once again, we're back with more Hard Talk here on Fire 107.7 FM. I want to get into some of the comments on the WhatsApp platform. So there you have it. Somebody is saying, Angie, I have been thinking St. Lucia healthcare system should have a major reshuffle and have a comprehensive policy to ensure patient safety in all areas of care, including separating the fire department from the paramedics. This section should have been working directly within the hospitals for quicker response and hygiene. The fire brigade can include major accidents to assist paramedics. I hope I make sense. Angie, yesterday you didn't smile much. Hope you will after the live. Thank you for that. Yesterday I was mad, but today's another day. I'm still mad, but I'm more sad today. Somebody else on the WhatsApp platform is saying, good afternoon, Angie. Can I just make an important point? With all the medical scholarships given with Cuba, Taiwan, etc. to St. Lucians, we as a nation should have different doctors who specialize in dealing with each part of the body at our hospitals. But it's crazy we lack specialist doctors. So what's really the benefit of the medical scholarship programs if we are not reaping the rewards? A very, very important question. And I hope someday we will have an answer. I'm going to turn my attention now to the Facebook platform. Somebody says, hello, Sister Angie. Good evening from the UK. Hope you are doing great. I like this health conversation. St. Lucia needs to be educated, considering the lack of health situation plaguing the country. Thanks for your voice. You're getting stronger every day. Bless you. Oh, thank you so much for that. Somebody says, Angie, I'm sure some of them have the ability and knowledge to help that patient, but the truth is they don't have what they need, like meds, equipment, and the list goes on. Somebody says, your points are covered with the truth. Another says, you are right, my lady. And that person is referring to the flu. I have it almost a week and a half. I'm at my home, not me alone. We got the virus from one of our colleagues, and it is very scary. I am in Vancouver. I think this person is referring to this new strain or a tangent of COVID-19. Hope you recover nicely, because we do need your voice here on the platform. Somebody says, why don't the health aides get CPR training and any other basic health training and place them in schools around the island? That's another really great suggestion there. Somebody says, the government could have done the 2 ports themselves, but with that government, or I can say that party history, where is the money? So they went out selecting an outsider to do it just for more cover up themselves. I will give you that, but I will get that in return under the table. Keep it secret, my name not in it. These are the people telling you they are for the poor. Which poor? I don't know. They should have changed the motto and say putting ourselves first and ripping off the poor. Obviously, you are not familiar with what transpired at the, was it the opening ceremony of the Bedo Park vending booths? Because at that ceremony, the Prime Minister clearly said that in fact, his words were, and I quote, don't listen to anyone who tells you to put your country first. Put yourself first. Because when you do well for yourself, you do well for your country. And he went on to say, that is the philosophical position of every man and woman in my cabinet. So you know what the man means. Somebody says, caller, we never got a truthful explanation about GPH from PJP. We are just speculating because that is all we can do. Another says, well, he will be putting more taxes, caller. Another one says, LOL, when the money gone? Another says, they are taking St. Lucians for a ride. Somebody says 15%. Somebody is asking, where is the CIP money? You see, let me just pause here for a minute. There are a few people who come on the live and they ask some very hard questions. And I will just have you know that so you guys are going to have to wait until GPH or CIP gives the go-ahead to the Minister of Investment to answer these questions, because I don't can. Okay. Somebody says, Angie, apart from paying people to vote for them, why did the people vote Labour into power? Again, I didn't take that class at school. I didn't even know where they were holding it, so I don't have the answer to that question. Somebody says Philip Pierre has the country where Kenny Anthony had it in 2015, 2016, when Kenny said something happened. Didn't Philip Pierre tell the country he collected over $40 million with the health and security levy? So what is he now talking about? So what is he talking about now, having money to pay the police? They're just that, especially the civil servants. Another says, good contribution, caller, thank you. Another says, we don't have paramedics, we have EMTs. Maybe it's time we have paramedics. Another is saying, Philip Pierre gave GPH, hold on, let me read this. Philip Pierre gave GPH, the Russian oligarch's company, our ports, giving them the right to the largest amount of tax collected, where the country receives just $1. Imagine that. Our ports brought in $40 million every year, and today Pierre is here spewing nonsense. Well, don't expect any soft talk here on Hard Talk. That is the name of the show, after all. But honestly, guys, something needs to be done to improve the quality of care given in the healthcare system. If we don't have the money to pay, if we don't have the money to adequately staff our healthcare facilities, then we should take the money we have and use it to improve efficiency. In order to improve efficiency, you need to ensure that you have persons in your primary healthcare system who are trained to the hilt to deal with emergency situations. These people are supposed to be trained to pick up things that can be dealt with that don't require invasive medical procedures. And so we need to ensure that we upgrade these primary healthcare facilities. The individuals stationed there need to be able to deal with emergency situations themselves or stabilize patients so that they can get to the secondary health facility in order to get the care that they need. If we cannot make it bigger, let's make it more efficient. We don't have the money to commission St. Jude's. Ensure that there is adequate trained individuals in the health centers, the wellness centers, because they changed the name from health center to wellness center. Ensure that there are adequate persons, adequately trained individuals in the wellness centers so that there is less pressure on the hospitals and polyclinics. Simple. Innovation. Update. Necessity is the mother of invention. And I see, it seems to be that in this Labour Party government, that is the only time that this phrase is untrue. Because the necessity is there, but the invention is sorely lacking. But then again, the Prime Minister will tell you, he not a doctor. He not a priest. He not a pharmacist. He not a police. He not a EMT. He not a paramedic. So he have no idea. But so, you don't need to be any of these things to know that every situation can be dealt with proper planning and ensuring that the moving parts that make the clock tick are in place. If you don't have the knowledge, for goodness sakes, man, find someone who does and have them guide you. Because there are trained healthcare professionals at every single healthcare facility on this island. You'd be surprised the amount of ideas that some of them, based on their experience and knowledge, have in order to streamline the processes involved in making our healthcare system works. Use the resources that are at your disposal. Now, you don't seem to like to use the resources at the Ministry of Agriculture, because if you did, you would not be telling people about sweet potato seeds or hobby farming, because there's no such thing. It's called subsistence farming. Hobby farming is people that are planting flowers by their homes, and I don't see anybody eating flowers except when I was little and I used to eat that white flower with the yellow inside that we used to call bread and cheese. That's a hobby. What you want is subsistence farming, where persons supplement their income by growing foods that they can consume. Now, you didn't need a technocrat in the Ministry of Agriculture to tell you that. Okay? You could have stopped any primary school child and they would have schooled you on that subject. But when it comes to healthcare, please, so use the resources that are at your disposal. Now, let's turn our attention back to the Facebook platform. Guys, I'm telling you, I am really exasperated with this Prime Minister. I really am. I don't can with Philip J. Pierre. I just don't can. Some of the questions, somebody's saying here, some of the questions are responded to, but they voted without getting the answers. This government is just a sham. Call it as it is. Watch the space. Wow. Somebody says, before the general election, I said to my people that the government will increase the VAT to 18% if they get back to office. Just remember again, I am telling you guys, stand up firm. Somebody's the correction respected. Okay. Oh, the responses are respected. I understand. Somebody says, God gave this country the opportunity twice, back to back, to fix this broken healthcare system in this country, and the wicked people chose wickedness and evil over good healthcare. So another is saying, I always used to say that the Castries Health Center should be a mini hospital to take care of minor emergencies. Well, now they've turned the Victoria Hospital into a polyclinic. In fact, to be honest with you guys, I am really unclear as to what exactly is going on with the Victoria Hospital. I don't understand why it was downgraded as a hospital, because we need it, I know that the former director of the Millennium Heights Medical Center, Dr. Dexter James, had a plan to use this facility as sort of a spillover and outpatient care facility for the OKEU hospital, as a way to increase bed space and that sort of thing. But sadly, Mr. James did not renew his contract with the government, the Millennium Heights Medical Center. And he has promised me to give a full disclosure interview, but I have not heard from him in a while. I should maybe give him a call. This gentleman is someone that I admire very much, I can tell you that. Somebody is saying here, I am so exasperated. Honestly, my eyes are killing me, guys. My eyes are aging, according to the eye doctor, and as such, I need to treat them with extra care. All those years spent reading books and sitting in front of computers writing. They have not been kind to my eyes, so I'm forced to wear these contraptions, these spectacles as they were called back in the day, and I really don't like them. But you have to do what you have to do. Okay, so here we have a message on our WhatsApp platform. This person is sending me a picture of a hospital, I guess shaped like a box. Don't let the Prime Minister see you, caller. Don't let the Prime Minister see you circulating these hospital pictures shaped as a box. Apparently the box was the worst thing. He said, and the message reads, this SLP fooled and brainwashed the people. They called Shas First Class Hospital a box. Angie, this is where I work in the Royal United Hospital in Bath, UK. Do you see small little houses or a box-shaped hospital to gain space and movement? Well, it does look like a box. And it looks very modern, but let's leave that one alone, caller. Let's leave that one alone. I don't even want to touch that one, to be honest with you. Somebody says, Angie, I think every wellness center within school zones should have health professionals on duty, at least while school is in session. I don't think they do, but yeah, they are, because the health centers are open between 8 and 4:30. So yes, they are open while schools are in session. And yes, there are health professionals, not doctors at all times, but nurses and health aides. Somebody else here is saying, good day to you, Angie, and everyone else. Angie, as you said, the more we discuss, the more I am convinced that this is a government who stole the election. They only want the position and power. St. Lucia Pui. Another says, how about having a nursing room with at least 2 nurses in every school? I think that this would be a game changer. It would be, but again, do we have the funding for that? And that is the argument that they are going to bring. You're asking for all of this, but we don't have the funds and we don't have nurses. And remember, they were making the point that they're making it, they're subsidizing the nursing professions. They're subsidizing persons who want to study nursing. So they're going to make the point that, we don't have enough nursing students, which is why I am making the point that we already have those, like the previous statement, we already have these health centers in the school zones. Let us equip and train our community health aides. They are already there. We don't have nurses. They are what we have. Let's use them efficiently. Another one says, in the next 4 years, we're in the 30th century and genocide is what is taking place in St. Lucia's health system. And the sad thing is having politicians who pretend to care, but their hearts are broken with evil. Angie, all the hospitals in America are shaped like a box. Is when you go inside of it, you will see how beautiful they are. Well, guys, I don't even understand why you guys are worried about the box shaped hospitals. Let me tell you why. The individual who is supposed to ensure that we have adequate financing for healthcare, that would be the Minister of Finance. Do you remember that he said that the new hospital was a box and he had never seen a hospital built that way? Do you remember that he also said that he had never seen a airport terminal with 2 stories, meaning upstairs and downstairs? That's what we used to say when we were kids. So, you honestly believe that this man will see the need for a proper hospital? Guys, you don't seem to realize what happened on December 1st. Let me enlighten you. Let me just go back over it. Let's recap. Let's do some revision here on Hardtalk. We were given 2 choices. One choice was health insurance. Proper hospital. Upgraded airport. Free tertiary education, and so on and so forth. That was on the one hand. On the other hand, we were given free preschools. We were offered free preschools. Rainwater harvesting. Sweet potato seeds. And what else? What else? What else? Oh, yes. Importing deportees. You remember which one we picked, right? You remember the one we chose? Yeah. Let me give you a hint in case you're a little confused. Because these days, the order of the day in St. Lucia, the national mood, people say the mood is red. The mood is not red. The mood is confounded, kerfuffled, and quite confused. I will tell you that. In case you are confused, we didn't pick the free tertiary education. We did not pick the healthcare insurance. And we definitely did not pick the other amenities that would have put us on the map. Upgraded airport, home porting, improve international hospital. That is not the choice we picked. That's not the button we clicked on. I just want to remind you, because I have some people on the live here who are asking me some very hard questions. And I just want to remind you, that is not the button that we clicked. Back to the Facebook platform, somebody says, been telling you guys, PJP is an incompetent PM along with his administration. Another is saying, under Sir John's reign, I can remember clearly that the schools had nurses visiting every so often. Sorry, that's very often. Somebody is saying, St. Croix is in the house. Good afternoon to you. Another is saying, yes, Angie, PJP said that, but people still voted for him to be PM. Another is saying, and a minister with high heels. Another is saying, St. Lucians will learn that all Philippian Labour wanted was the political power. It was never about the country and you, the people. Another says they chose the minister with high heels instead. Over to the WhatsApp platform, somebody is saying, Angie, we spoke about the box-shaped hospital because St. Lucia is in the hurricane zone. God forbid PJP and his goons will love to have St. Lucian's house there. Watch the space, God knows, and see all things. SLP will fail and St. Lucia will rise. Okay. And somebody else is saying, these old heads, Lucians, know no better. All they know, mood is red, and most of them are uneducated. 5 years will and shall teach them all a lesson. Honestly, I have no faith. I have no faith that these individuals are even capable of learning lessons. And I say this because we already had a prime minister We spent 4.5 years with a prime minister who didn't know, couldn't say, didn't hear. This man could never answer a question properly. This man never knew anything. He couldn't explain himself. He couldn't tell you what was going on at any given time in the country. You ask him about tourism, he doesn't know. You ask him about crime, he doesn't know. You ask him about healthcare, he doesn't know. He didn't know anything. Somebody says, harvest your own water. Well, he knew that. He spent 4.5 years telling people about cassava flour and wondering why he was being ridiculed. Y'all expected better? I mean, you heard him on Monday, right? When he said that the government instituted tax amnesties that were very generous, and that those tax amnesties had not met they had not yielded the results that he was looking for. And he was so disappointed that he was going to put on more tax amnesties, the same tax amnesties that he was just lamenting didn't work. I mean, I know they say if at first you don't succeed, try again. But they didn't mean try the same thing that didn't work again. That's not what they meant. They meant progressive elaboration. Tweak the plan as you go along. That's what they meant. Because the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. And by that yardstick, St. Lucians, I dare to assess that we seem to be dealing with an insane prime minister. Somebody says, Angie, imagine that even the government, Angie, imagine that even the government members' pockets are underfunded, so it is best we dream on. Now, I don't see how they can be underfunded, because every time we go to the supermarket, and let me tell you, I've been to the supermarket twice last month, this month, and every time I'm picking up bare necessities. Bare necessities, guys. But somehow when I get to the cash, it's always over $200. And I swear to you, I'm not picking up anything exorbitant. I'm not picking up anything, any luxuries. I make a list and I stick to that list religiously. But every time I get to the cash, it's over $200. Somebody says, people don't give Angie headache. The sham election are haunting them. If they have potato seeds, show the country. Show the country the election editorial report. Somebody saying, Angie, please leave your glasses on. I don't like them. I don't like them. I'm not used to them. I'm not used to them. They trouble me so much. Guys, I hope that somebody in the healthcare system or somebody related to the government, I wouldn't dare to assume that the Prime Minister listens to my show, but hopefully somebody in his periphery, or maybe the minister, somebody who's close to the Minister of Health. Because maybe there aren't any persons or individuals in the healthcare system who are bold enough to speak up when they see that things are not working, that, we need to try something new. And I do remember that, one of the phrases that I love is a phrase by a famous American president who during the war said to his citizens, think not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And in that spirit, I would like to provide a suggestion. We have the unavoidable problem of a healthcare system that is underfunded and overwhelmed. We have a lack of doctors, nurses, and, well, I dare not say a shortage, but that is the situation. We have inadequate secondary healthcare facilities. And even if we wanted to build them, even if we had them, the funding to keep them running effectively, it's just not there. So here is my suggestion. Maybe the people who are around you guys are afraid to speak, but I'm not. How about we maximize the use of the resources we already have in place? In every community on this island, we have health centers. Everyone. Babono alone probably has about 5 health centers. There's one in Foaso. There's one in Babono proper. There's one in Gara, I think. Is there one in Gara? I'm not sure. But there are health centers everywhere, in every constituency in this country. Please, for the love of God, because we definitely know that the love of country, according to the Prime Minister, he believes that the love of country is a farce. It's a bluff. These are the words that he used. He says, don't listen to anyone who tells you to put your country first. That is a bluff. You have to put yourself first. Right? So for the love of God, because you definitely don't have any love for country, maximize the use of our primary healthcare facilities so that our children don't die of medical complications because they cannot get to a secondary healthcare facility in a timely manner. Instead of painting the Bum Bum Wall for Carnival this year, train our health aides in first aid. Instead of spending money accommodating influencers for jazz this year, train our health aides in emergency medical procedures. Instead of spending money bringing celebrities into the country so that they can post on their social media status how beautiful St. Lucia is and mispronounce the names of our towns. It's not Solfre or Sanfre, it's Soufre. I love Taraji, but that one touched me in the spirit. How about we spend that money we already cannot compile the amount of money he didn't say compile. I want to use the word he used. But you guys get the drift. We already cannot fathom the benefits of jazz and carnival as a marketing tool for the country. How about we give away a few less free tickets this year, and we instead use that money to train our healthcare professionals in emergency response? How about we turn our paramedics how about we train our EMTs to be paramedics? How about we upgrade? You know, the same way you upgrade your phone every couple of months? And then it works faster, it's more efficient, it has more space. The apps work better. How about we do that with our community health aides and our first responders? So our little children can be stabilized and they can hold on until the ambulance gets there. Not just the kids, everyone can hold on until the ambulance gets there so that they can be taken to the doctor. Let me turn my attention back to the Facebook platform. Somebody says, Pierre said this phrase is nonsense. PIP is think what your country can do for you. Hence why they continue to steal from the country to enrich themselves. Another one says, don't you think the hacks are listening with fake accounts? Don't forget LP are mysteries with eyes everywhere. Somebody's reminding me there are 4 health centers in Mikud. Somebody says, caller, we should start doing what will get us to pose these questions to this PM and insist that he answers. Every time that he comes to spit his garbage to us. We will not get anything different from them until we stand up to them. Somebody's saying New York is freezing and please send some heat. I am so sorry, my darling. The only heat we have on Hardtalk is the pressure that we are putting on the government to upgrade the services offered at our healthcare centers, wellness centers. I keep forgetting that the names were changed. That's another thing. How about instead of spending money on lavish renaming ceremonies, lavish handing over ceremonies that you have to hand back over the next day, use that money to train our people. Somebody says, Lucians finish under this communist government. Tanto. Guys, it is 4:30. It is our time. We gotta go. Every time I sit here, you hard talkers, you guys have me working overtime. I hope I see some of you at that flamboyant cooler fete at the Rudy John Beach this weekend. And you guys are very nice to me. That's all I'm saying. Somebody is saying, Angie, my lady, you will not get that from the government, especially the Minister of Tourism. And I have to laugh before I read this comment. This person is trying to get me in trouble, but I'll read it anyway. Angie, my lady, you will not get that from the government, especially the Minister of Tourism and the Loverboy lawyer. That will not happen. These guys are just an excitement government with no ideas. My dear Angie, a suggestion. That's another one. How about placing a nurse at our schools? Well, I mean, let's work within the parameters that we have. Because the first thing they are going to say is, we don't have nurses, we have a shortage of nurses. But we do have community health aides. So, and we do have health centers in close proximity to a lot of our schools. If you look at the way the country is sectioned, let's take cul-de-sac, for example. The Georgetown Secondary School was in close proximity to the Cicero Health Center. Now you have the Cicero Secondary School and the Cicero Primary School in very close proximity to the Cicero Health Center. You have the Anglican Infant and Primary School RC boys, they were in close proximity to the Castries Health Center. You see what planning does? Planning and foresight. If you look, any community you look at, the Bexar Health Center is minutes away from the Bexar Primary School. In the valley, you have Richford Primary School in close proximity to the Richford Secondary School and the Grand Riviere Senior Secondary School. I don't know, they've renamed it. These people love a renaming. I don't know why. In Larichus, you have all these other little schools very close. In every community in St. Lucia, there are health centers in close proximity to our schools. Planning, foresight, mise en place. So if there was an emergency, and even this emergency that happened, the school that it happened, the Roseau Combined School, is across the road. Across the road from a health center. So there is no need to have a nurse stationed at every school. You understand? The health centers are right there. What we do need, because we do have a shortage of nurses in the country. We do have a guys, I was at the Meekwood Health Center in 2009 when a contingent of doctors and nurses from the United States, I kid you not, came to that health center with Miss Lansico. At that time, she was the department head of the nursing department at the South Louis Community College, the Department of Health Sciences. She was the head of that department. Do you know what these people came to St. Lucia to do? Remember, I said to you, nurses and doctors from the United States. I kid you not, this actually happened. They came to see what equipment we had, what measures, what techniques we were using. Because as you know, the United States employs a lot of our nurses. And they came in and they were questioning the nurses because they wanted to see how is it that our nurses were doing so much better than their nurses when they had better equipment. I kid you not, in 2009, these people came to St. Lucia. Do you know one of the first things that they asked when they got to the health center? Because they came during an antenatal clinic. What is it? Either it was an antenatal or a prenatal clinic. I remember. Oh no, it was a child health clinic. I remember because that day I was giving a talk about child nutrition, and I specifically remember that I was showing parents how to make healthy snacks from local foods, but make it palatable for the kids to love it. I remember I was making smoothies, fruit smoothies, with fruits that children don't really like papaya. And I was showing them techniques on how to mask the taste, because papaya is something that children don't really like. So I was showing them techniques. I was teaching them techniques on how to mask the taste of papaya in a smoothie. And they were thinking of fun ways to get the children to eat those healthy local foods without a fuss. So I was saying, why not make the smoothie and tie it in a bag, make an ice lolly, make block. You remember block? Where you put it in the ice cube tray and the kids have fun with it. And I remember I was making a no sugar carrot cake and a pumpkin pie. So I remember this very clearly. That was one of I think the only demonstrations I had the time to do, because like I said, it was a short time at the Meekwood Health Center. And this lady walked in, and I remember her saying to the contingent that I was one of her past students. The first question that the contingent from the United States asked was, how is it that St. Lucia has a lower infant mortality rate than the United States? What were our nurses doing? They wanted to see. I kid you not. So this is why we have a shortage of nurses, because our nurses are being poached and they are going on to greener pastures. And this was one of the problems, I know for a fact, that Dr. James wanted to tackle. We have a serious shortage of nurses, but we have health centers in next to every school on the island. Pick any school anywhere. Soufrière, Choiseul, Canaries, Ancillary, Vieux-Fort. There is a health center in close proximity to that school. Even the Leclerc Health Center is right next to the Vide-Bouteille Secondary School and the Vide-Bouteille Primary School. It's not a coincidence. It was placed there on purpose. Compris, Choc, close proximity to Leclerc. Entrepot, Hess, close proximity to the Entrepot Health Center. These are not coincidences. They were placed there for a reason. Use the resources that we have efficiently to solve the problems that we need solved. Back to the Facebook platform. Somebody says the people should give the journalists their questions to the PM press briefing. Maybe you should try that. Somebody says they are still waiting for the chemical because the factory closed down. Another says, Angie, don't tell these SLPs what to or should do. Let the people who put them there keep their mood in red. Angie, I know for sure the healthcare is terrible. I am experiencing some very troublesome surgery done by a friend, which was supposed to be minor, but the results don't look good to me just because of doctors' carelessness. Very, very sad. Somebody's asking what's the WhatsApp number. It is 572-3473. Somebody else is saying, Angie, don't give this government any hints of what to do. Let the red mood see for themselves. Somebody says, you know what you are saying about the health centers, Angie, where they are located, and I can say you are very right, because I used to work in every part of the country. I know where all the health facilities are in the country. Another says, Angie, it seems you're one of the nutritionists. Let me see. That was asking the mothers to not give their newborns Toloma. Yes, I was. Because you really shouldn't. Yes, I was one of those nutritionists telling the mothers, don't give your kids Toloma. By the way, don't give your kids Toloma. It really is just starch. That's all it is. You're just setting them up for diabetes later in life. Give them breast milk. Mothers, drink lots of water and eat healthy, and your kids are going to be fine. Anyway, you see, you guys have me wearing too many hats here today. I gotta go. I need to leave. It's Friday. It's the weekend. The WhatsApp number is 572-3473. People keep asking. It's actually in a pinned comment on the platform. If you look to the bottom of the comment section, you will see a message that's pinned there, or maybe it's pinned at the top with it's pinned at the top with the WhatsApp number and the link to the station's broadcast. Once again, WhatsApp number 572-3473. Thank you guys for joining me here on Hard Talk. It has been a lovely time. Guys, I know you don't want me to, I know we said we're not going to give this government any ideas. But I'm starting to believe that if we want the job done properly, then we have to do it ourselves. I'm sorry, I love my country. And if I see something not going the way it should go, I can't stay silent. Because I have promised myself that I'm not going to be the good man who stays silent while evil flourishes. So I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Somebody says, Angie, I love you. Take great care. I can't call because I'm on the train. Stay safe. One love. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Guys, have a safe and crime-free and health emergency-free weekend, because I really need to see you guys back here on Monday, because we have more of the issues that matter to discuss. Thank you for joining me. Hope to see you guys at the... Oh, we have a call. I'm going to take this last call. Good afternoon to you, caller. You are on the air.
Yes, good afternoon, Angie. How are you doing?
I'm good. You are the luckiest person today. So,
yeah.
Go ahead with your contribution.
Okay, so I'll be quick. About the taxi thing that is happening with the taxi and the Uber business.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I'm for competition, I'm seeing a pattern with this government. When I'm for competition, I'm not for big organizations outside of St. Lucia always taking a bunch of our monies, just like GPH, the GPH deal, where GPH is collecting most of those monies. Now with those Uber, I'm hearing that the Uber is basically like a calling center. They take a piece of the money and then they give the taxis the rest of the money. So my point is just like for example, I'm in the cattle and livestock business. Last year, Philip passed a law where that's stating that you make it easier for people to buy, or you remove tariffs on goods coming from Brazil, especially beef and meat.
Actually, what he said was he's introducing concessions for persons who wish to import livestock from Brazil. But you are correct.
I don't know for the livestock part, but I heard it was for the mainly for the beef, like
Yes, for the
already
beef.
killed and
Yes, for all meat products
so in other
actually.
words, exactly. So in other words, what I'm trying to tell you is that um, I do not know if that's people that maybe giving the monies to those politicians to run the elections and those different things. But that is another way we're seeing that money is continuously living outside of St. Lucia when it comes to the St. Lucia Labour Party. So
Yep.
the Uber, that is another foreign company that is going to come and manage our affairs. And it always in a sense like St. Lucian companies cannot manage themselves. Like for example, you see like in Wasco problem, and it's the phone
Correct.
company now instead of using now that's the problem we had. We never train our people. That is why we are dependency country. We never 40 years ago when what's his name, Kenya and Jenny had the demand in '97. They never trained our population. They never invested in industry. They never invested in agriculture. They never invested in nothing.
Yep.
And now only destructive politics they invested in. And now we see all those problems are compounding one after each other on each other. In other words, what I'm trying to tell you, we already have a water crisis. Philip JP already stated that he do not know what is going on with the taxes, so we don't know how much money they are collecting, how many people not paying their taxes. We do not have the $200 million to fix Wasco problems, and we are outsourcing most of our critical things like transportation. We are outsourcing food security. We are outsourcing water security, and that is the bottom line. If we do not have water security or food security, we are not an independent country. And if we see on the global market right now, my lady, is that there's no more globalization under Trump. It is every country fend for yourself,
That's
all
right.
your citizens, do good for your citizens, and they're closing the doors to you. So all those aid and friendly friends used to give us money, all those monies are drying up.
That's right.
And it's time for us now to protect our economy domestically, and Philip JP and St. Lucia, but they're not doing that. Have a blessed one.
You are very correct, caller. Very, very correct. Oh man, I wish that caller had called earlier in the program because that was a very, very important contribution. I am so sorry, caller, that you called at the last minute and we don't have the time to dissect all of these very important points. And kudos to you because you sound like a very young man, but you seem to have a very good shoulder, a very good head on your shoulders for analyzing the current situation. I am so proud of you. I wish you will call again on Monday and maybe we can raise this topic again and have a serious discussion because, guys, did you hear what he said? The Labour Party since 1997 has not invested in the training of our population. However, they have invested in destructive politics and in leaking the cash from our country and handing it over to foreigners. Wow. I'm so happy. I am so proud. I feel great. I'm going to have a good weekend. Caller, do me a favor. Monday, call because we need to dissect what you said today. Have a wonderful weekend, guys. Hope to see you at that flamboyant, cooler fete. Get home safe. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye-bye.